Chapter 345, The Final Battle. Translator, Dark Angel. Editor, Kurisu Ling. Han swept through 2 battles in a row, each victory swift and clean, his momentum climbing higher with every step, like a blade growing sharper the more it was honed. When the 3rd round arrived, he met yet another of the Ao clan's 7 sons, the 6th, Ao Mingjie. With this, Ling Han had no reason to hold back. He opened the Eye of Truth, and then slapped and struck as he pleased, reading through every flaw as though it were written plainly on the surface. After 32 ponderous fists, Ao Mingjie, too, became a toothless guy. Now everyone understood. Ling Han harbored a vendetta against the Ao family. Against others, he merely defeated them. Even if he struck hard and left them badly wounded, none had suffered such a miserable fate of having every tooth beaten free. But what kind of existence was the Ao clan within Wintermoon Sect? A towering boss. The Ao forefather was one of the sect's grand elders, an old monster of the spiritual infantier. Why force relations with the Ao family into such bitter tension? Even if one was young and hot-blooded, one still should not behave with such overbearing arrogance. Ling Han had no need for others to comprehend his way. He simply waited. In the next round, his opponent was again one of the 7 sons of the Ao clan, Ao Xinghan, 3rd in the order. Needless to say, the outcome was Ling Han delivering a brutal beating, and he too became a toothless guy. In the following round, Ling Han faced Si Chi Meng. This girl truly was formidable. She had fought her way to this point. Her current record, 1 victory and 3 defeats. That lone victory had come from her battle with Bai Ming. She was straightforward as well, and directly conceded. There was nothing else she could do. Her 3 losses had all come at the hands of the Ao clan's 7 sons. Since Ling Han could thrash those 7 sons so effortlessly, what need was there to spell out the gulf between her and Ling Han? She was a delicate beauty. If she were beaten until black and blue before everyone, how humiliating would that be? At present, Ling Han held 5 victories and 0 losses, ranked 1st alongside Ao Xinglai and Ao Yuanwei. In the 6th round, he encountered Bai Ming. Bai Ming forfeited. In the 7th round, he faced Ao Fengxing, and Ao Fengxing actually admitted defeat decisively, escaping the fate of having his face slapped and becoming toothless. This left Ling Han extremely displeased. His expression turned pitch black, as though anyone he looked at offended his eyes. Everyone's faces twitched. Indeed, Ling Han truly bore a grudge against the Ao clan. Even if his opponent conceded, he still found it unacceptable, and would actually grow angry because of it. In the 8th round, Ling Han met Ao Yuanwei. However, this fellow did not concede, insisting on battling Ling Han. His ability was indeed slightly stronger than that of the other 5 sons of the Ao clan, but only by a narrow margin. He had only just moved to strike when Ling Han instantly activated the Eye of Truth. Seeing the pattern of his attack with perfect clarity, Ling Han surged forward and beat him down viciously. In the blink of an eye, he shared the same fate as his 4 brothers, and also became a toothless guy. Ling Han covered his eyes. Having activated the Eye of Truth repeatedly, the burden was far too heavy. This was not an injury that could be soothed merely by circulating the indestructible Heaven Scroll. Instead, it was a profound weariness that had risen from within his spirit. He would need a long rest to recover. In the final battle against Ao Xinglai, it seemed he could no longer use the Eye of Truth. Otherwise, he might suffer a severe backlash, and that was certainly not something pleasant. So be it. The Eye of Truth was only one of his trump cards. He still had others, such as the indestructible Heaven Scroll. If it came to the worst, he would trade injuries for injuries and see whether he could kill Ao Xinglai that way. As this thought rose, Ling Han could not help but release a fierce and vicious aura. Family was his reverse scale, and Ao Feng had injured his father and imprisoned his mother. This had stirred the demonic nature in his blood. "This is the final round. Begin," the spiritual pedestal tier elite said calmly, yet his gaze remained fixed on Ling Han and Ao Xinglai. In his view, Ao Xinglai had been the most likely champion, the only likely one. Yet now there was another with 8 victories and 0 losses. This was something he had never imagined. The victor to emerge between these 2 young men would be the champion of this disciple recruitment trial. However, if Ling Han became champion, the Ao forefather would be very displeased. That was because the Thunder Battle armor had been proposed as the champion's prize by the Owl forefather himself. His intentions were plain: to make this Thunder Battle armor the Owl clan's possession. At the outset, it had been practically guaranteed. All 7 sons of the Owl family had stepped forth, yet the result was no longer so certain. Between Ling Han and Ao Xinglai, who was stronger? Before this, no one would have doubted it. With absolute certainty, they would have declared that the strongest of the spiritual ocean tier in Winter Moon Sect was Ao Xinglai. But now, after witnessing Ling Han's terrifying battle prowess, no one dared to vouch so confidently. This young man was simply far too miraculous. Ling Han stood directly before Ao Xinglai. This was Ao Feng's most outstanding son. If Ling Han thrashed him brutally, Ao Feng would surely be furious, wouldn't he? Ling Han could not help but grin as he said, "I hope you will not admit defeat." "Haha, do you think I'm one of those trash?" Ao Xinglai replied coldly, disdain filling his face. Those words struck the other 6 Ao sons like a slap, making the 5 still present glare in fury. However, their faces were all swollen from Ling Han's beating, so one could hardly tell any change in expression. "Very good, then I won't need to worry." Ling Han let out a breath, as though relieved. "I am definitely going to slap your face." Ao Xinglai trembled with rage from head to toe. This was underestimating him far too much. "Young man, a loose tongue invites endless trouble. You have a foul mouth and a pair of foul hands as well. I will cripple both your arms, so you will learn that the Ao family's reputation is not something anyone may stain," he said darkly. He had already suppressed all visible anger, revealing the depth of his martial training. "Fine words, but you need real skill to support them." Ling Han crooked a finger at him. "Come, my fist can no longer wait to leave a mark on your face." "Insolence." Ao Xinglai finally moved. A long sword appeared from thin air, black as ink. The instant it emerged, the sky itself seemed to dim for a heartbeat before returning to normal. Black Star Sword," the Winter Moon Sect disciples cried out in shock. Even the other 5 Ao sons wore ugly expressions, thick jealousy rising in their eyes. The Black Star Sword was Ao Feng's signature weapon. It was a level 5 spirit tool, able to be activated successively. Even in the hands of someone at the spiritual ocean tier, it could display the greatest battle prowess possible at the spiritual ocean tier. Now that this Black Star Sword had appeared in Ao Xinglai's grasp, it clearly signified at least 2 things. First, Ao Feng regarded Ao Xinglai as his true heir, and thus had passed his own weapon to him. Second, it was very likely Ao Feng was about to step into the Flower Blossom tier, hence he could even hand his level 5 spirit tool to another. That's right. This is the Black Star Sword. Ao Xinglai's face brimmed with arrogance, and when he saw the jealous gazes of the other 5 sons, it pleased him immensely. He had cultivated bitterly for nearly 20 years, never daring to slacken for even the slightest moment, and now he had finally achieved it. He was the new banner of the Ao clan's young generation, the one and only. "Han Lin, I represent the Ao clan in punishing you." Ao Xinglai activated the Black Star Sword. One by one, the patterns upon the blade lit up, and a terrifying aura poured forth. "Punish your sister." Ling Han snorted. "Waving a chicken feather like it's a token of authority. Who do you think you are?" He took the initiative. His fist flashed, and the phantom images of 7 dragons surged forth, roaring as they charged toward Ao Xinglai in a headlong assault. Chapter 346, Crafty Translator Dark Angel. Editor Kurisu. Ao Xinglai merely let out a cold snort and swept the Black Star Sword. A streak of dark radiance unfurled, within it flecks of starlight blinking. Yet it was precisely this radiance that effortlessly shattered the 7 dragon images. This was a 5th-tier spirit tool. Even if it was not fully awakened, it still carried power on the level of the spiritual pedestal tier. Ling Han was indeed monstrous. Possessing 16 battle stars at the first layer of the spiritual ocean tier, but how could 16 battle stars contend with the spiritual pedestal tier? It was the same logic as when Ling Han, merely at the 9th layer of the gushing spring tier, drew the demon birth sword, and made even a king of demonic beasts in the spiritual ocean tier feel dread. Haha, now that the Black Star Sword is out, this guy can only bow before its might. That's only natural. In Ao Xinglai's hands, even if the Black Star Sword can't display the full might of the spiritual pedestal tier, Its spirit tool grade is genuine. With Ao Xinglai's strength, he should be able to unleash 1% of its power. With such power, he's qualified to stand against any opponent below the spiritual pedestal tier. No matter how monstrous you are, it's useless. The spectators spoke one after another. By the looks of it, this battle that had originally been filled with uncertainty had lost all suspense, and Ling Han would very quickly be defeated. Ling Han knit his brows. The Black Star Sword truly was formidable, and if he faced it barehanded, the outcome really would be uncertain. Unless he could temper his physique up to the Iron Sheet tier, then it truly would be enough to stand firm against a mid-level spirit tool. Would he have to draw the Demon Birth Sword? A level 10 spirit tool could naturally suppress the Black Star Sword with ease. And if the two clashed, he was certain the Black Star Sword would definitely shatter. There was no other possible ending. But the problem was that once the Demon Birth Sword appeared, how many covetous gazes from those old monsters would such a supreme treasure attract? Could it be that he truly couldn't deal with a son of Ao Feng without leaning on the Demon Birth Sword? Ling Han's pride was instantly provoked. His true trump card was not the Demon Birth Sword, nor was it the indestructible Heaven Scroll. It was the Black Tower within him. Fine, then let us contend for now. Young man, you should also take a strike from me. Ao Xinglai rushed in, sword in hand. He swung the Black Star Sword, and in an instant, 6 flashes of sword chi surged forward. Each flash of sword chi was black as ink. These flashes of sword chi had been compounded by the Black Star Sword and carried the same destructive nature as the Black Star Sword. Ling Han drove his fist forward. 6 bursts of fist chi took shape into 6 dragon images and met the incoming sword chi head-on. Pooh, 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 pooh. Each flash of sword chi cut every dragon image into 2, and the 6 flashes of sword chi looked practically unscathed as they continued slashing toward Ling Han. Cries of astonishment rose from the crowd. In Ling Han's battle against Yang Chong's spear chi had likewise been compounded by a spirit tool, yet it had been completely unable to stand firm against the fist chi. Ling Han delivered with bare fists. Yet now, it was entirely the other way around. They could only say the Black Star Sword was simply too strong. Don't think there was only a small gap between a level 4 and a level 5 spirit tool. How many martial artists were separated by the chasm from one martial arts tier to the next? In the eyes of one in the spiritual pedestal tier, all in the spiritual ocean tier could be regarded as mere ants. Ling Han's figure swayed as he employed the shadow wind motion. He slipped past all 6 flashes of sword chi like a ghost. Ha ha ha! You can't even take a single flash of sword chi from me, yet you still dream of trading blows with me? Ao Xinglai sneered. He himself already possessed 16 battle stars, but with the Black Star Sword added, his battle prowess was close to 1 battle star of the spiritual pedestal tier. How could this not sweep aside all opponents in the spiritual ocean tier? This guy has the Black Star Sword in hand and can dominate Han Ling all by himself. He doesn't need to worry about wasting any energy at all. Yet earlier, he didn't challenge Han Lin at all and let us be humiliated. Ao Feng Xing said quietly to the other 4 brothers, cold light flickering in his eyes. Despicable. Ao Zhan's hands clenched tightly into fists. He was planning to use Han Lin to trample all of us, then step in with a crushing victory. That way, everyone in the world would only remember that there is an Ao Xinglai in the Ao clan. Let's join forces. Otherwise, we'll look completely inferior to him, Ao Mingjie proposed. All right, agreed. The other 5 sons of the Ao clan nodded one after another. Later, they would go seek out Ao Zhan Cheng. They didn't believe that with the combined forces of 6 of the 7 sons of Ao family, they would still be unable to defeat Ao Xinglai, who stood alone. Who? The Black Star Sword swept forward in a slash. The 6 flashes of sword chi that shot out were like black dragons, indestructible and shockingly terrifying. At this moment, Ao Xinglai truly was suppressing the battle single-handedly, displaying an invincible image. No matter how one looked at it, there was no way Ling Han could win. Meanwhile, Ling Han was deeply troubled. He had at least 4 methods to reverse the flow of the battle. The first was to have the Black Tower reveal its might. According to Small Tower, it was capable of even destroying this entire world. However, that would draw the attention of the supreme bosses in the upper realm. In that case, the Black Tower would definitely be seized away, and he would be killed like an ant. There was no need to consider this option. The second method was for the Black Tower to pour power into him and allow his cultivation to soar straight to the first layer of the spiritual pedestal tier. Then he could slap Ao Xinglai to death with a casual wave of his hand. However, the later the Black Tower's installation of power occurred, the better it would be for him. This involved a chance to wash away flaws and cleanse his essence, and Ling Han did not want to waste it so casually. At the moment, he was not considering this option. The third was to draw the Demon Birth Sword, but he had already weighed the consequences of that move earlier, so he likewise set this option aside. Then only the fourth method remained, and that was to activate the Eye of Truth once more to discern his opponent's weak points. If Ao Xinglai truly were in the spiritual pedestal tier, the Eye of Truth would be useless. A mystical power was not a divine being and could only raise his battle prowess to a certain limit. However, Ao Xinglai only possessed a sliver of the spiritual pedestal tier's battle prowess by relying on the Black Star Sword, and this gave Ling Han a slight chance. He could only choose to endure the backlash. Compared with the other three methods, using the Eye of Truth was still the safest. Weighing at once, a gold-colored pattern lit up in his right eye. The world before him appeared in a different form. Time slowed to an extreme, or even froze. Yet at the same time, a thread of bloody tears trickled from his eye. Having overused the Eye of Truth, he ultimately still suffered greatly. Kill! Ling Han suddenly surged forward and charged at Ao Xinglai. He slipped past the Black Star Sword and the 6 flashes of sword chi, closing in to face Ao Xinglai directly. Hiss! Everyone was stunned. Ling Han actually managed to break through? Could it be that the battle's current was about to be reversed? Yet Ao Xinglai showed not the slightest anxiety and said coldly, "I already knew your movements are strange, so how could I not have prepared in advance?" His sword trembled, and another flash of sword chi shot forth. 7 flashes of sword chi. No one could have imagined Ao Xinglai had still been holding back. His limit was not 6 flashes of sword chi, but 7. Ruler, a ruler of martial arts. What a crafty fellow. The 7th flash of sword chi was black as ink, striking straight at Ling Han's chest. Even Ling Han had not foreseen this. However, he had lived 200 years in his previous life, and in the latter part of that lifetime, he had ventured through unimaginably perilous ancient sites, so his ability to respond to sudden changes was absolutely first-rate. Otherwise, he would have died countless times long ago. His figure flipped in a way that defied belief, narrowly avoiding a fatal wound to his chest. At the same time, his right fist continued its strike toward Ao Xinglai's face. Ping! A blow instantly landed beneath Ling Han's ribs. How powerful was that sword chi? It tore open his defenses of the body of rock cliff. Blood spurted forth like a fountain, and Ao Xinglai was also knocked flying by this punch. Ao Xinglai landed in a somersault. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood containing 2 shattered pieces of teeth. He could not help but be both furious and shocked. Though Ling Han's injury was far heavier than his own, he had actually used the Black Star Sword.